Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just get it right in. Let's just get right into it, shall we? I'm gonna try to make these videos a little more compact, a little more concise, but ultimately I'm just freestyling until I come up with a structure that I like because, well, I'll be real with you. Like, there are some people who enjoy talking about this, that, the other, certain topics, but me, I prefer just to go off the cuff because I feel like it flows more organically that way. But with all that being said, I just wanted to real quick talk about Sugar Nunez versus Robert Diaz in one of the most exciting fights of the year. Definitely a fight of the year candidate in my personal opinion. You can disagree if you like, but I was not bored watching that fight, right? I have seen so many boring title fights in the last couple of years that I can proudly say this is not one of them. This is one of those fights that overlived the hype. It overperformed. I mean, it was one of those things where the longer that fight continued, the more exciting it got, the more edge of the seat. Like, literally, there are some fights where I just can't get into and my mind just wanders, but this was not one of them. I was just sitting there gasping, wondering, dude, is he going to fall? Is he going to stop him? Like, it was getting that good, that quick, there were so many good moments in the fight. Even though Robert Diaz did get knocked down in the middle of the fight twice, it was still incredible to see him rise and fight back and put on such good effort to rip the title off the back of the champion. It was just incredible. And a follower of mine actually brought up a very good point about how Robert Diaz previously lost to Shakur Stevenson. Something you really don't hear about too often, right? Is Shakur's resume actually looking better than what people want to accuse it of looking? You know what I mean? Like, people don't want to give him the props that he deserves. I feel like if you beat that guy real easily, wow. That is something that is a feather you could put in your cap, in my opinion, because Robert Diaz is no joke. That dude can fight. So I gotta tip my hat to Shakur on that one because, like, I've been watching his career for a long time, ever since he won the featherweight title, and it's either hit or miss as far as his performances go. But that's not something that, like, I can be too critical of because at the end of the day, a Pernell Whitaker is not going to turn into a Joe Louis. That's just not how it works. He's going to be who he's going to be, right? You can't turn yourself from a slickster outside mover into a mid-range counterpuncher. That's just not how the game works, for better or worse. But I digress. I mean, aside from Sugar Nunez defending his title in one of the most exciting fights of the year, and in my opinion, a fight of the year contender, I would go so far as to say that I'm more excited about the Sugar Nunez versus Emmanuel Navarrete matchup that is being proposed by both champions, because he got into the ring after the fight and did a stare down with Sugar, I mean. And to be honest with you, that's the kind of fight I want. Like, forget all this other extra stuff. Forget Benavidez versus Bivol or Beterbiev. Forget all this, we want to see boots with Virgil Ortiz. I don't care about those. Give me Navarrete versus Sugar Nunez. I'll be happy. I will sit there with a smile on my face ready for war because I have more faith in that fight happening than Boots Ennis actually fighting Virgil Ortiz, or Virgil Ortiz actually fighting somebody who is not a contender so he can get a title. Like, what am I waiting for Virgil for? Like, I've been waiting years for him to actually win a title and fight somebody. And I know that sounds a little cruel and maybe a little bit, like I'm kicking a guy when he's down. He's about to be fighting a credible scalp in Lubin. But I'm not entertained talking about these young guys who do absolutely nothing except, fight to keep their spot. Like, who cares? The title fights that I want, I may not get, but if I at least get Sugar Nunez versus Emmanuel Navarrete, I'm just a simple boxing fan. I know a lot of people say that boxing fans are fickle, and you're absolutely right. You give me what I want, I will keep coming back for more. It is that simple. I might be a little fickle when it comes to seeing things a certain way or, describing things a certain way. But at the end of the day, in the rule of supply and demand, if you keep your customers happy with their demand, then they're going to keep coming back for more of your supply. It is that simple. But unfortunately, we have to overcomplicate even the most simplest things in this sport because we can't have anything nice at the end of the day, can we? We have to sit here and hope and pray that these people, grow some balls and go out there and show us what they're made of. Unfortunately, if you hold your breath and wish in one hand, you'll see which you get for sooner. You know what I mean? Brain damage or what you want. My money's on the brain damage for waiting too long, but I would rather know something is about to go down and be happy instead of waiting in suspense if this person is going to make a move or do something that's going to excite my interests. Because at the end of the day, everybody has something that they like in the sport, right? Some people like the technique, the movement, the punch selection. They like, watching their favorite fighter overpower these guys and doze through them. There are some people who even just like the spectacle of the whole thing, like the big fight vibe. And I totally get that. But for me personally, give me a fight like Sugar Nunez versus Robert Diaz every weekend. And I promise you will never hear me complain about anything. I can't expect people to give up their health and well-being for my entertainment. That's obvious. But what I can hope for is slight improvements with matchmaking moving forward, because I think that they know what the public wants, and I think that they know that they're not giving us exactly what we want, but if they give us something that is comparable to that, that's also not that bad. You know what I mean? I don't need a AAA fight every other weekend. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you give me a good, exciting 50-50 matchup. I won't complain. It's that simple. You have a lot of good talent out there that's just waiting to take the next step into greatness. I mean, look at Abdullah Mason. He'll be fighting for his first title here shortly. I'm so proud of that kid. That kid has come a long way to get to where he's at. And I just feel bad that he will never fight Keyshawn Davis for his title because Keyshawn couldn't be bothered with making weight. And yeah, personally, that was one fighter that I kind of sold all my stock in, Keyshawn, because you are an incredible specimen who is capable of a lot. And I've watched you from your debut to now. And what have you done for the fan base other than mock us, tell us you don't like it, don't watch it. You tell us, you're a businessman, but yet you miss weight on one of the bigger fights with a decently ranked contender. Well, I don't even want to say he was a decently ranked contender. He had been inactive since he fought Shakur Stevenson in one of the most boring fights I had ever seen in my entire life, right? And it was a Thursday night fight, which makes it that much worse and that more memorable. But at the end of the day, Edwin De Los Santos was, I want to say, inactive for about 2 years before he was about to fight Keyshawn Davis, and he looked so drained. And it looked like it would have been an easy payday for Keyshawn, but he could not, for whatever reason, keep his side of the deal. Real businessman-like, right? You fumble hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million, for what? For a cheap advantage like Tank Davis had? Like your brother Shakur Stevenson when he fought Robson Conceição? What are we doing here, guys? This is the entertainment business, and leaving people, essentially, and not exactly, but essentially leaving people at the altar constantly with matchups that, people are interested in slightly or otherwise is not going to grow the sport, not going to grow your profile, not going to give you the fans that you want. So at the end of the day, I just say all that to say that Robson Conceição has since then become a champion and has left his mark on 130, it looks incredible. You know, he is a bit of a wild dark horse. Well, dark horse mostly at the 130-pound division. Former champion now. You know, put him in with anybody, and he's going to try to make it a good fight. He's not exactly the most exciting fighter to watch, admittedly, but you know what? 130 is really, you know, underrated in terms of talent. But I just say all that to say that I'm more excited to see what's going on at 130 than at 140, 147, because at least I know the matchups are getting made, right? You got Oshaki Foster versus Scooter and Stephen Fulton. I apologize. Scooter, Stephen Fulton. And that is going to be an incredible matchup. You don't know who's going to win. You got, well, some would argue that, you know, Oshaki should be able to take care of this guy. Other people say that Scooter is extremely skilled and versatile. And even though he would be moving up, not everybody, but I would say that a good portion of people are pretty confident that Scooter has the skills to pay the bills as far as this goes. But I digress. So, like, you got Shockey versus Fulton. Shockey Foster versus Fulton, I apologize. You got Emmanuel Navarrete supposedly going up there with Sugar Nunez. You got... well, I can't recall, maybe I'm wrong, but there was an Irishman who held a title briefly, the IBF, and I believe he had to vacate and moved to 135. I could be wrong. His name escapes me at the moment. But ultimately, 130's heating up. I love it. This is what I love to see. Give me more of this, please. I mean, you can keep all these contenders who just want to hold on to their belts, hold on to their rankings, and not do nothing because, you know, if the smaller guys are going to give me what I want, then guess what? I'm going to watch the smaller weights. That's just the way that works. The higher weights need to do more work in order to keep my interest because, like, if you think Lubin versus Virgil Ortiz is going to get me out of bed, like, it's not. It really isn't. I know I keep ragging on it, but it's like, you had every opportunity to extend communications with Xander Zayas. I understand he just won the title, but sending somebody an email is not a legitimate offer. Somebody from your gym has to reach out to somebody from his gym. You have to open up a dialogue like he did with Lubin. And it was just obvious from the jump that you had no interest in actually fighting this guy. Because if you did, then you wouldn't be fighting Lubin next. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to rag on just regular everybody because, you know, there's more than just that. I mean, why is Bakram Murtazalov at 154 fighting Josh Kelly? Like, he should be fighting Lubin. That's his mandatory. But instead, Lubin's fighting Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is in line to fight for a title against Fundora, or if he wanted to, he could fight against Xander Zayas right this second if he wanted to. This is why I'm so frustrated with the higher weight classes. The middleweight in general is a hard subject for me to talk about sometimes because middleweight is my favorite. I love middleweight. Like, my favorite fighter of all time was Nigel Benn, who started at 160. He was a rare talent for his day. He became a 2-division champion, took the title from Italy, and, you know, put on one of the best title defenses I ever seen with Gerald McKellen. And, yeah, like, I could tell you a lot of memorable fights I've seen with Nigel Benn that just stick with me to this day that I have unusually high expectations for how middleweight should look, I suppose, because it's not just Ben. Because you also got, like, guys like Bernard Hopkins, James Toney, Roy Jones Jr. You have so many talented guys over the last from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that now it's just so dead. And you just wonder what the hell happened to it. Like, I keep watching, keep hoping for something interesting to pop up because there is a good fighter by the name of Yanibek Alimkhanuly. And he's good. He's a very good counter puncher. He's got decent power. He should be up there at a higher weight, in my opinion. But I don't think that, we're going to get any meaningful matchups, because if reports are to be believed, then you got Carlos Adames dragging his feet as far as he could take it to try to get a bigger payday. I can't blame these guys for trying to get a bigger payday, mind you, but it gets so boring when there is nobody in the landscape of note, nobody there that fans like. What are we doing? Are we just, lining people up to be knocked out? Are we, trying to cultivate the next big thing at 160? Because 168 is completely taken over by Canelo. The sad thing is that Lara is still campaigning at 160 as the WBA champion, and nobody remembers him. Like, you would think that Yanni Beck would go after the eldest champion if he can't get Adames, but nope. Just keep dragging our feet, seeing how far it'll go. But I digress. I just wanted to make a quick video real quick talking about the weekend. Again, Sugar Nunez versus Robert Diaz, one of the best fights of the year. Highly recommend you check it out. Give me more of that. If you want to save boxing in the West, then all you got to do, make more fights like that. Give me more matchups with more expected violence, more twists and turns. And, I didn't see Robert Diaz sticking around to the 12th round. I did not see him getting the better of Sugar Nunez in the 12th round. But guess what? In my opinion, he did win the 12th. Man really put on a hell of a performance. His stock has risen, in my opinion. But I just can't wait to see what happens next. 130 is heating up. And God bless those little dudes, because they can put on a hell of a show for us. And with that, I hope you have a good rest of the day.